In 2009, the SEC charged the owner of Investors Underground, Nate Michaud, for stock manipulation. And we're here to find out right now, is he legit or not? Because they're still teaching to this day. And he's actually been on my show before. So what I did, I actually went out and found 4 random students who have been through the course itself. I asked them each 8 questions that they will be able to grade from 1 to 10. 10 being the best and 1 being not so great. That way you can actually decide, is this worth the price? Is this actually a scam, or is there value? Let's find out. First off, on trades, Max, Michael, Lane, thank you so much, man, for joining me today and sharing your opinion on your experience with one of the services that I tweeted about. And for this case, it's going to be Investors Underground. So welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man, good to be here.
What's happening, man? I appreciate you having me.
To get started, you use Investors Underground, IU, and I'd love to just kind of get a feel of, what you generally think of IU right now.
So I've been there for, I want to say, for a little over 4 years right now. And I've always liked them just simply as a factor that they have great information flow. Obviously, part of being a trader is taking this much information and trying to get it down to this. And of course, a lot of people will run to Twitter, various other services. And oftentimes as a trader, if you're sitting there in a slow day, it's very easy to try to make something out of nothing. And I've liked having IU just at the bottom corner of my screen simply because they were able to dial down a lot of that information into bite-sized nuggets. And there's a lot of smart guys in there that would basically say, hey, this is worth focusing on. The rest of it is noise. And obviously to do that yourself is impossible, especially while focusing on a myriad of other things. But IU really helps for that, for me personally.
I think early on, you start trading and you realize like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And maybe I need to look somewhere so you look around and, you see the advertisements and it's like, okay, well, these guys seem like they know what they're doing and I don't want to be dumb. So maybe they go there. So that's kind of a natural way to end up. Everything was like how they advertise it. I mean, you go there for community. And I think when you start, maybe you're a little bit more naive to where you think like, okay, there's going to be some hand holding.
Sure.
And maybe not consciously, but subconsciously you believe that like, okay, if I get this one thing, then that'll make it for me. And that obviously, like everybody knows that's not the case anywhere. But yeah, you go there, you expect community and you get that. You go there, you expect interaction with profitable and huge traders and you get that.
I found IU through Nate. I started following him on Twitter. It just felt like it was genuine.
Yeah.
So my foundation is built off IU. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna go for something, people were going live on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, like it was obvious, so yeah, I went with IU.
In order to understand why I got the service in the first place, I think it's really important to kind of explain like the beginning part of my story, which is I got into trading more, or I should say I got into the stock market. It's not really trading, by doing the whole Wall Street Bets crowd. And I was in GME when it was around $10 to $12. And I put in a lot of, almost all of my money into this. And I went up, I rode it all the way up and I came all the way back down. My account went from about $50,000 to $1.8 million and then came back down to about 200,000. My heart's beating just thinking about it. It's something I try not to think about much. But what I learned in that was risk management is definitely the thing that everyone preaches. And it's something that I've taken to heart. And my thought was, okay, it's time to learn. The memes, the jokes, they were funny until they had real world consequences. And that was the point where I was like, okay, time to buckle down, get serious. I did some review searches on different places where I could learn to trade, learn the fundamentals of what a trader is and make it so it's not betting. Through my research, I found Investors Underground kind of had the best reviews, and so I got their year membership. I had also seen some of their stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some of their free stuff, their free content, and I really liked it. It was easy to understand, easy to digest, and that also kind of led me to think, okay, getting this subscription service will be a good investment.
I want to take this time to say thank you to our sponsor, Cobra Trading. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show. How long have you been trading for?
I was just about a little over a year into trading at the time. I was just finding some level of consistency. Obviously, consistency in trading ebbs and flows. It's not
Sure.
like, yo, I'm consistent, it lasts forever, right? So I was at that weird point where I was like, okay, I need something. I want to connect and basically find more people that are ultimately in the space that have a little bit more time on their side than I do ultimately. So I was hopping around, trying out different services, newsletters, learning as much as I could. And IU ended up being one of those places that I found and didn't end up leaving.
Okay, so I have been trading for around about 2 years. I am one of the fresh waves of the GME craze.
22 months now, full time. Started in 2020 in August.
Been trading about 3 years, man. Continuously, different products.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions, Lane, that I'm asking everybody because I want this to be a very even playing field. Each question I ask you, I would love for you to give it a grade from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being not so great. And then feel free to elaborate a little bit on the reasoning for your answer. So the first one, man, is quality of information.
I don't know if it's just because I'm cerebral or if I need, I overthink things or what, but yeah, I'll give that a 5.
So I would give it a solid 7 to 8.
I would say their learning materials 8, 9, definitely.
In that terms, quality 10.
I rarely give anything a 10, rarely give anything a 1. But nonetheless, finding any information that's better than a 5, I think in all the trading sphere is really hard. But I think they do a pretty good job at correcting themselves if they get something wrong, and that puts it on the higher side of the spectrum.
Yeah, that's really good. Correcting yourself, if you do something wrong, that's massive. That shows
and
humility.
that doesn't exist.
That shows
trading.
humility.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, come on. Here in hindsight paradise, right?
It wasn't like something like black and white, There was a lot of reverse engineering involved in the process. The most important thing that I got from IU was the process. It requires a lot of discipline. Like it needs a lot of time, a lot of dedication. So what goes behind a successful trade?
Right.
There is a huge process involved. And that process requires a lot of reps. It involves a lot of steps. With Nate, with IU, it just became like second nature with time. But in the beginning, it was really frustrating.
It is an important topic. I think a pitfall for developing traders is that they see somebody talking about a trade idea or a particular trade. They look at it, or maybe it is communicated to them in a very superficial level, where it's like, okay, let's say I'm long versus this level. What does that mean, right? You don't know what that means. You don't know how to size versus a level. You don't know where the risk is. You don't know where the target is. You have no idea. And when you're developing, you don't even know to ask those questions in the first place.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm going with that. And to be fair,
sure,
nobody does that. Nobody gives everything. And, just the nature of how people look at markets is going to be different from person to person.
100%. I'm glad you said that because the way I see this too, from a lot of people's opinions, it's good for the people that are watching this who create content to understand that you can learn a lot to create better content, right? And improve. So I appreciate that. What about easy to comprehend?
Again, with the learning, their learning stuff, it's going to be another 8.
I'll give it a 6 on that because I think for anybody newer coming in, it's they're going to be a little bit behind the curve and they need a little bit more onboarding.
With the way it was provided, 7.
You know what, dude? That's probably like a solid 7, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Like just because on the base level, if you don't think too much into it and you hear Nate say something like failed follow through, if you don't know Jack, you can kind of conceptualize what fail follow through means, right? He'll be like getting short, fail follow through. You don't have to know much to look at a chart and like start guessing what that means. You're probably going to be wrong. You're probably wrong, but
Yeah, you're probably wrong. That's true.
you're not wrong, but you know what it means, right? So it's a successful communication of that information.
I mean, in the beginning, it feels like you're talking to somebody who doesn't even speak in English. It's like some foreign language, man, to be honest. But with time, you pick it up.
I think if you're a beginner and you go in there and you say, okay, how do I break down this information? How do I turn it into something actionable? I think it's probably going to take you a little bit. It'll be drinking from the proverbial fire hose. But if you come in with the less is more sort of mindset and you don't try to basically turn everything into a trade idea, I think it can work in your favor.
Explains thoroughly their process in detail when taking trades.
7.
For a newbie, I would say it's going to be very frustrating. So maybe 5.
Probably a 7.
Honestly, that's like a 4 or a 5.
So they go through the basic, he calls it an ABCD pattern, but it's basically just your higher lows and going for a breakout. That is the basics that they teach right at the very beginning. And again, that's just a very easy to understand concept. So they're like, okay, it comes up, makes a high, comes back down, and then it starts grinding up, and then you buy in this grind up ready for the breakout. So you're kind of a breakout anticipation. Very easy to understand.
I think they do a pretty good job at breaking down what their plan is ahead of time. I mean, granted, I'm not there for that totally, so I'm not the perfect person to answer this. But from what I've seen, they do a pretty good job on their thesis in regards to targets and exits. I think that's dependent on the individual trader, really.
It's not a fault on them. I mean, look, if you look at somebody like Nate, he's like a Michael Jordan of the trading community. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you.
Great trader. And if you think about any sport or any high performance field, a lot of the times the best athletes, the best guys, they're not like the best coaches. Sometimes the best coaches are the guys that like suck, right? And they have to like think through things step by step,
Right.
And then they can communicate that to you. So you can't really expect superstar athletes to, break their swing down. They're just going to be like, I just crack it, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why like that, all that subconscious processing that he has, it's hard to communicate that to someone else. So, you'll get more vague information, like, vague to you, right? Like I'm short versus this level. That makes sense to him with his sizing. They'll follow through. He knows what that looks like. And he'll tell, they say, maybe you should look for that. You're not going to see the same thing in real time. You'll see it when you go back and look at the chart from the day when you got smoked all day. But in real time, you're not going to have the pattern recognition to identify it. Can they devise a way to, communicate step by step to people what they're looking at? Maybe not. Maybe. But, they don't as of right now. And that would, again, they all trade differently over there too. All the moderators, all the bigger guys. You can't expect to be handed full trade plans.
What about quality of production? And what I mean by quality of production means, for instance, let's say I had a course and I was teaching with a notepad and I was showing you like this. That's like a low production quality, right? And high quality production is the opposite, like high, editing, so forth. So what would you give it 1 out of 10?
6.
It's going to be like 9 or 10.
I'll say 9.
I'd give it a strong 9.
I mean, man, and I have never seen anything like this. Like you have access to like Bitcoin chart, like within IU, and then the alert service. Like if you set up a price alert, and even if you don't have the chart on and you have the sound on, you will hear, you will know, okay, it's triggered. So I'm pretty happy with that.
They do a really good job with it, I gotta say. I mean, across all the different things. I mean, I don't think there's been a minute where the chat even disconnected due to an internal server error. And you can't even say the same for Facebook. So
right, that's good.
They go out of their way to put. They put out those, I think they still put out the Sunday videos or whatever.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And, he'll do write-ups. They all do their write-ups. They'll answer your DMs too. Like if you communicate directly with them, they'll take time. And there's a lot of people in that room too. So for them to answer is huge. So yeah, the quality of the information, their paid information, their course material, all that's similar. All that
okay, great.
Similar. Yeah. So do 10, obviously.
Their production value is, I mean, it's okay. You don't really need that great of production value in order to give good information. His Tandem Trader series is just a recording of his screen while he's explaining it. So again, it's nothing fancy, but it does a really good job of telling you the information that you need.
Do you feel it was well worth the price? A 10 would be absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, and a 1 would be absolutely not.
Probably an 8.
I'll give it 7.
It's worth it. I would give it an 8.
Middle 5. A lot of the information you got from the free stuff that they had online. So the information is really good, but the price you're paying is mostly to be part of their chat room. So they do have more information. They have webinars, which the webinars are really good. I do like all the different traders coming on there and kind of giving their spiels and stuff, how to trade, what trades they took that week. But the service itself, I think, may have been just a little bit pricey for what you got, especially if what you're looking for is information on how to trade.
Now, again, man, it depends, because when I joined, my financial situation was totally different. At that time, it was you have to reevaluate and stuff like that.
They are one of the more expensive rooms, I think. Still, they have a lot of value. I think they have their built-in alert system in their chat, which is kind of tight. I mean, your trading software might, like TD Ameritrade, will alert you after you miss the whole move. Like, ding, by the way. Yeah,
so TD is slow. It is slow.
Yeah, it's slow, bro. And then it'll freeze. So that just has value. So
explain what you mean, because people who aren't part of that circle, like when you say they have like an alert system, like what do you mean by that?
Okay, yeah. So they have an alert system built into their chat function. So if you sign up to IU, and you're using their chat, you're in their chat room, and everybody's calling out levels and tickers and what's moving. You can set alerts for stocks, for levels, and the chat service or through that API will actually alert you. It's not going to alert you through your broker or anything. So you kind of bypass the whole
thing. It's
thing.
pretty quick, you think?
Yeah, it's quick. It's way quicker than you would get from your platform. So that has value.
Sure.
And that's something you have to keep in mind when you're looking at the price and you're looking at other rooms that are like, okay, maybe this one's only $75 a month, but what are they telling you? What are they giving you? What do you get? So if you are a first-time person, if you can afford it, there's definitely cheaper services now. But like I said, what are they offering you that other people aren't?
It seems like you're saying it's worth it because they're giving you a lot of additional tools that you might not get with other programs.
Correct.
And what about the likelihood, knowing what you know now, if you had to go back in time and make that purchase, the likelihood that you repurchase, number 10 being absolutely without a doubt and 1 being, obviously not?
I'm going to hit it in the middle with a 5.
8.
I mean, 10. It pays for itself every year for me simply based on the news flow for me. And why would I turn that down?
I'll say 5. It's a maybe, man.
Yeah, curious.
It's a
why.
maybe.
I'm curious because you gave it a lot of high numbers at first. So I'm curious.
Yeah, well, my reason is because now, I have learned and I know my edge, and my style is a little different than Nate's for those reasons. I Nate likes to, the way he trades is fascinating. I can't do that, I mean, he's in 10 tickers at one time. I mean, he's superhuman. I don't know how he does that. I mean, it's good, but since I know what I'm good at and what I suck at, so I already know that. So I come prepared for that. So as soon as I see that, I'm focused on that, and I try to maximize that opportunity versus, getting distracted on 9 other tickers. That's one reason, because I have reached a point where, it feels like noise, where you're not maximizing your own edge. That's my obvious reason. Other than that, I mean, for the news, I think Judah is the fastest. I mean, the way he drops the news alert and stuff, it's worth it.
I think I still got a lot of really good information, and a big part of the learning, at least for me, was kind of being a part of a community in order to kind of keep me in the game.
Yeah.
There was good material outside of the stuff that I now use. So getting all of that exposure to all the different trading styles and everything was really good. I had the 1-year subscription and I chose not to renew it just because I didn't see anything further I could gain from it.
Okay.
But that I would definitely buy that 1-year subscription if I had to go back and do it all again.
Let me clarify. That's what I would give every single chat service.
Okay.
And there's a valid reason why, because if you were like, what's your goal? Your goal is to learn how to make money. It's very hard to do that trying to be somebody else. So when you're in these services, you're going to try to emulate the people that you're learning from. And maybe if you have, if you have no knowledge, if you don't have a whole ass load of time to devote to charts, which you probably should, you got to give everything. Maybe you need that extra influx of information, but it is a hindrance at a certain point. You will second guess yourself. You will not develop your own trade plans. So you're going to read theirs and you're going to try to act on theirs, but you won't have any conviction in it because it's not your. You're going to try to trade somebody else's style. That's not yours. So the machine is not going to fit together well. And as you know, or anybody that's been doing this for a while knows, if everything doesn't fit together, it doesn't run. You're not going anywhere. So, if you need the information, great. Go expecting information. Go expecting a community. But if you're going to expect someone to teach you how to trade, that will never happen. No one can give you that. You have to give it to yourself, and you'll get that through isolation and things like that.
Dude, I love that answer, man. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because that was really good. That was a really good answer, and I think I love it. I love that answer. I agree. I couldn't agree. Just in general, what you said of like, if you're in isolation, that's probably the best time to learn. Like, because you kind of gotta trust yourself. Chat room quality. So 1 out of 10. 10 means that it's very well filtered, it's moderated. There's not a lot of just BS going on, not a lot of fluff, flexing, stuff like that. It's more specific. That's helpful information. And 1 being it's just a room where no one's even like guarding it. There's just tons of noise constantly.
Oh man, super 8.
I would say it's a 9.
7.
Yeah, no, that's a 10 for sure.
It is very well guarded. He has several different rooms that are for very specific things, and he does a really good job of making sure that things are in the proper room. And for that, I'd give him a 9. He does a really good job of making sure that's all partitioned there. What I would give a less of a score on is the usefulness of the rooms, so to speak. Again, I'm speaking as a new trader.
Sure, yeah.
One of the things that IU promotes is mentorship. And it's like, okay, we have all of these traders and many, many good traders. So when you have a question, you can ask a question, you can get an answer. We're all here to grow and, grow together and stuff.
Sure.
In his main room, he's calling out, what kind of trades he's taking, what levels to look for. He's him and a bunch of other experienced traders are just kind of talk about what they're currently doing. And then in a separate room, the traders lounge is where you're supposed to ask questions. It's kind of a community. A lot of BS does kind of go on in there. A lot of off topic kind of stuff, but that's what the room is for.
Yeah.
In my experience, when I had a question or when I was trying to get with somebody in order to figure out what's going on, very, very difficult. I think IU is kind of suffering under the weight of their own success. There's so many people, you put a question down and it just zooms right up the list and good luck getting an answer. I tried messaging some of the people that they have as like their long-term successful traders. And I get an answer back every once in a while and usually something kind of short, not very in depth and everything. And I'm just kind of like, if the mentorship part was done a little bit better, I think I would have stayed on for some more subscription. But I felt like I had access to all the information, but like not necessarily to ask questions.
The guys that are talking know what they're talking about. Nate, I think, is an octopus. I don't know how he's trading all the things.
Dude, I don't even.
And he's talking all day. Like, if I remember correctly, dude, he's just calling stuff out all day. They'll call news out. So yeah, dude, the chat is a 10 for sure. Like if you're a shark and you can just, you've got your own thing going on and you just need more alerts, you want to know where it's at, like, dude, you're gonna, like, you can use it. It increases your bandwidth, you know, how much you can process. And that's important when you're using everything you have to try to execute. Maybe offload some of that to other people to, you know, help your information intake. So huge value there.
Nate is very strict with, you know, whatever's mentioned in the room. He makes himself, you know, he steps up, like he makes sure like there's no noise. Some, like, it's very rare to have people like that where they try to pump, and he warned them right away. And even if it's people try to have conversation off topic, you know, he's pretty good with that. That's for sure. But it's just like so many ideas, right? That's the only reason for me where I find like, you know, there's a lot of noise. But talking about those pumps and stuff, no, I would say 8. He does pretty good. But sometimes he's not, you know, I mean, on screen and then like on his desk, and then, you know, the other people step up.
Yeah, and Nate's really good.
Different.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I think it's really hard to get a 10. I mean, because it's just hard. It's really hard. I
mean, sometimes, you know, he steps away from the desk, and then people, only for that. But other than that, it's pretty clean.
Assuming that you do the filtering yourself. Right. In the same way that if you were basically going to watch 20 people run across a field or run across a creek, and you say, hey, let me watch them and see which people have fallen 18 times because they weren't looking where they were going. It's like you have to field a little bit of things out, and simply due to the fact it's like there's a decent price for barrier to entry, but nonetheless, there's a lot of people that can buy their way in, and you never know what their experience is. So just because somebody's saying something that confirms your individual bias, it doesn't mean that adds weight to your bias, right? It also the person dependent. So weight the person before weighting the bias, before weighting your own bias on top of that.
Perfect. Well, look, Max, hey, I appreciate it so much. Your opinion is going to be huge for a lot of people. So thank you again, man.
Yeah, man. Least I could do. Happy to do it.
I've loved the people that you've had on the show, and they have helped me. So whatever little bit I can give back, I think is worth it.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks again, brother. The final score is... Now it's your turn to decide, is it worth it for you? Good luck.